start the recording so I don't forget to do that because I'm always 5 minutes late doing that. Hey Danny, hey Daryl. We're not going to do any plus ones. So if we say any plus ones, that means like give me a +7 or something like that. How do you spell yes or I don't know, Bill. Hey Simon, what's up, man? Hey Susan. Anybody in this big old snowstorm like that's in Kentucky or where is it? Kentucky, Nashville, something like that? Hey Frankie. It's sunny in Sydney. I needed to know that. It's 17 degrees here, which is it's warm, man. We're like in shorts. It's super warm here. It's only 87. That's just sick. It's ridiculous. All right, so we have on the call a very, very private guest, and I didn't give his name out because I didn't want anyone to know who he was. Dude, I don't even know if I know his last name.
It's a secret.
It's a secret, so we're going to call him Kurt the Secret Man. So
Kurt Shell. Shell. You can call me Kurt Shell.
Kurt Shell. All right, cool. We got to give you a nickname, though, Kurt. I have to think of a name to give you.
I agree. That don't sound catchy enough. I gotta think of something.
We could say Kurt from Oz because you have a magical, crawler. That would be cool. Kurt from Oz. It's not Kurt Shaw, right? Is it Kurt Shell?
Shell, yeah. Let's see here.
And just a real, how I met Kurt, I found him in the Black Hat community Skype group, and we were talking about expired domains, and I think we were maybe talking about Screaming Frog and stuff like that, and it wasn't working very good for my servers, and he dinged me a few times and was like, you got to check out my domain crawl, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to get into this. And I think it was a week later, I went back and looked at my my Skype messages, and I clicked on it, and it went to the Warrior Forum, and I was looking at it, and I was like, all right, this looks good. So I bought it, and ever since I bought it, I haven't used, Screaming Frog. I haven't used Scrapebox. It doesn't crash my servers. I've been using it nonstop. It's really, really powerful. So Kurt's kind of going to talk about it, and I'm going to hand it over to Kurt, and I'm going to give you some presentation mode so everyone will be able to see your screen. And there is going to be a replay, so if anyone ends up having to leave early, I always send a replay out to my email list. You see the questions?
Yeah, Dan, I am from Oregon. So you found me on Facebook probably. You're already stalking me, which is awesome. I love it. Yeah, so Holly, I mean, and for everyone, this is my first time doing GoToWebinar actually as a presenter, so I'm probably going to screw things up. Be patient with me, help me out, and Holly, jump in if I'm doing something wrong. So.
All right, you'll be good. Yeah. I got faith in you.
Great, appreciate it.
All right, I'm going to put myself on mute, so if I need to jump in, I'll jump in, but I'll give it to you. Take it away, man.
Great. And Simon, that's a good question. I'll get to that later about Majestic. The simple answer for you is not a problem. You don't need that. So you don't need a Majestic membership. So yeah, the name of this expired domain crawler is Pr0Ject Laz Rus, bringing domains back from the dead. So Holly's right. Like I've been doing SEO for about 14 years now. So I've been in it for a long time, but only in the past 2, maybe 3 years have I really started going hard at it with like PBNs and I mean even video marketing. Like I hadn't done much of that. I had primarily just done SEO for my own website. You know, just like I created a website years ago, just basic SEO stuff. A website called tutorialize.com. I don't know if anyone here's ever heard of that, but it ended up growing huge. Like I was getting 1 million visitors a month to this site, and then sold it off. But that convinced me that SEO is where I wanted to be. So that's why I've been sticking with it for so long. Holly is one of those people where she has way more experience with owning and managing huge PBNs. And like I heard another webinar earlier, I think it was probably today on the Black Hat community webinar. She had like thousands of PBNs at one time. And Holly, I mean, I know you're on mute, but I'll speak for you. I think the hardest thing about building a good PBN, like the biggest barrier for entry, it's cost, right? I mean, you know, you spend $100 for a decent domain from a domain broker, and if that domain gets de-indexed, you just lost $100 right there. So that's kind of why I started to look into different ways of building out my PBNs. I wanted to save money. I already knew how potent and successful you could be with a good PBN. And I'm probably talking to you guys, you probably already know all this, but this is just kind of how I got going with the expired domain crawler. So last year sometime I was so sick of using like Xenu and Screaming Frog and Scrapebox just for finding expired domains, that I started looking into different options that were out there and just wasn't satisfied with the other stuff that was out there. So I have a background in development. I've done some programming in my time and also have some good connections with some developers, and I partnered up with a developer that I'm working with now named Dimitro from Ukraine. And this guy is just a stud. He's a brilliant coder, and we have an agreement where I will not touch the code. I'll just tell him what I want and help debug it and direct him along the way. But he's 10 times the coder that I could ever be. So that's why this program works so well. It's really having a good coder. So if you've been to the website, I'm not sure if you've even heard of it yet, so Pr0Ject Laz Rus, there's a video on there. This is just a PowerPoint from that video. Holly said I needed to bring a PowerPoint and show you guys something, and I really didn't know what to bring. So, I mean, are you guys okay with me just going through this little PowerPoint? I won't be all salesy, but all right, cool. Good. All right, so I mean, it's just simple. I mean, I'll skip that. Okay, here's a key point. Good, thanks, guys. A key point is, you know, SEO is always changing, and I'm sure Holly keeps you up to date on that. But one of the misconceptions is that so often, you know, with SEO changing, it used to be that more links was better, and that's all it was. If you're on page 2 and you need to get to page 1, the answer was always more links. And what has happened with Google and the way that they're combating basically tools like GSA and XRUM and other things like that is they're focusing a lot less on the quantity of links and a lot more on quality of links. So that's probably why things like domain authority stacking and PBNs, when they're done right, are becoming so much more popular and the real go-to thing, because to get that edge in SEO, you can't just depend on massive backlinks. And Lisa, you know what? That's a great question. She asked if I could show a demo. So I'll step away from this preso just for a second. And just a little bit before this webinar started, I went ahead and started up a crawl session. So it's literally been running for about half an hour. And what I did was I still use Scrapebox for certain things. And I created a seed list from Scrapebox, and I thought, well, what kind of a topic would be universal? And so I just typed in Scrapebox like health and fitness, and just downloaded the first like few thousand URLs that I could find on Google, and that's it. And I put it into Pr0Ject Laz Rus and hit go. And so let's see, it's been like about half an hour, and so far we have 113 expired domains. So you know what? I'll kind of come back to that and show you guys what the results of that is going to look like. But so yeah, it's running, and I'll show you what that looks like here soon. Any other questions before I get going? That was a great one. Simon asks, is Pr0Ject Laz Rus more resource craving or intensive than Xenu? Absolutely not. That was one of my biggest pet peeves with Xenu, was I couldn't do these huge crawls that I wanted to do. And then if you guys have done it at all, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like it would use gigabytes of RAM, and then afterwards I would have to export it and filter out the results and try to find the ones that returned error codes, and then import that into Scrapebox or something like that. So no, Pr0Ject Laz Rus actually uses there's tons of questions coming in right now. I'll try to keep up. So Pr0Ject Laz Rus doesn't load everything into memory. It actually stores it into a local database on your machine, and this means that you can stop a crawl, pause it, come back and restart it later, and it'll pick up right where it left off. You can even stop that crawl, go do a different seed list, then come back to your old seed list and continue that. So it's way cooler than something like Xenu. Let's see here. Other questions. They all just shot by. That was a lot of questions. What is the output? Indexed, available. So the output is only going to show available domains, expired domains. It will have, Susan asked if it has like citation flow and trust flow. Yeah, so it's going to include everything from, it has Moz stats, so it has Moz, domain authority, and page authority. It has Majestic, if you have the Majestic add-on, and with the monthly subscription to Pr0Ject Laz Rus, you automatically get the Majestic add-on. With the lifetime license, you have to subscribe to the Majestic add-on, and it's just $9 a month. And then you don't need a Majestic SEO account for yourself, which is like $70 a month anyway. So for $9 a month, you get all the Majestic stats. So the output will have like trust flow, citation flow, number of referring domains, backlinks, edu, backlinks and domains, gov, has all of that. So yeah, the output for that is really good. Let's see here. Yeah, Simon says, I hate that I have to, he's talking about Xenu, I have to hate and find that 0.001% of expired domains that Xenu spits out. So yeah, that's exactly why I needed something better. Let's see, Mark, yeah, C-list is important. Mark's tried a few different crawlers. Yeah, and actually, Mark, you asked, do I have training on how to do C-lists? And I do. I put out one basic video with like high-level training. I will do some more training videos as well. I'm going to be adding some more tips on how I create my seed lists. Because, I mean, look, 145 expired domains in less than 45 minutes. I mean, do you guys, would that be helpful? Would you like to get 145 domains in 45 minutes? So that's pretty cool. Let's see, do we need to run it through search engines? No, it doesn't use the search engines at all. So it's not going to touch Google. It's just going to be hitting your seed list. Let's see, lots of questions here. Daryl asks, is there a big difference between Moz and Majestic stats? You know, they're both useful. That's just how I've come to settle on the different stats that are available, whether it's Moz, Majestic, Ahrefs. I try to bring in all the information I can get about a domain when I'm doing my analysis before I buy it. So I wouldn't say more or less helpful. I would just say they help in different ways. Let's see. And Lisa says, is there any way to screen out spammy domains or spammy anchor text? And that's where the actual stats from Majestic and Moz are very helpful. Typically what I'll do is when I've got 150 plus, I mean I usually deal with 500 expired domains or more. When I've got a list like that, I will sort it by, like filter it by Moz domain authority, and then sort it by trust flow. And then I'll also filter out those that have a ton of backlinks. And I'll kind of narrow it down to what I have seen has been like a good example of a decent domain is one that, you know, maybe domain authority over 20, a trust flow over 10, and it's got at least, you know, 10 good backlinks from different domains. And those are usually going to get me on top of a clean domain right away. Frankie, yeah, appreciate that. Frankie said that my seedless training was good. So, and that was just, you know, that was a basic, it was a quick seedless training video, but it did mention a couple of things that I haven't seen anyone else mention. So just a couple of ways to get your source URLs for seedless, like going to Majestic million, like Majestic, if they have like the top 1 million sites, you can go there and sort it by TLD. So if you're looking for country-specific seedless type sites, you go to the Majestic Millions page, sort it to the TLD that you're interested in, and you can just get a bunch there. Another way to get niche-specific is to go to Alexa, and on Alexa, you know, they have all the websites on the internet kind of sorted and ranked by how popular they are. So you can go there and go to specific categories. You can drill down to like exact categories and find domains there for your seedless as well. So tons of good questions. So Lisa, correct. There is no need to register for Majestic. It's only $9 per month for the Majestic add-on. That is correct. Do you have to use proxies? Susan asks. You know what? Right now I'm not using proxies. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, and I'll tell you basic rule of thumb for me how I decide. If I'm doing a crawl with a large seed list that I'm going to go shallow with, so here's the GUI to launch Project Lazarus, by the way. If I'm going to do like a crawl depth of 1 or 2, that means it's going to hit the URL in the seed list. And if it's a crawl depth of 2, it's going to see all the links on that page, and it's going to follow all those links and scrape all the URLs there too. If I'm only doing like a depth of 2, then I'm not going to use proxies. But if I'm doing a depth of, like, let's say I want to crawl Wikipedia, and I do this all the time, I'll do like a depth of 10 or 20, and then I definitely use proxies, because Wikipedia will ban your IP if they see you hammering it. So just by using proxies, or anytime you're using a deep crawl, you want to use proxies just so you're rotating IPs that are hitting their site. And that's the main reason for that. Simon, I'll post a link for the seedless tutorial. Does it run Ganti? Yeah, it runs on Windows 7, Windows 8. Anything. Susan, this is actually running on my laptop right now, so it's not as fast as my server. Yeah, and Armand, right now I'm not using any proxies. A lot of times I'll just use 20 proxies. I've also found different resources where you can get like 1,000 proxies, but they may not be as good. Proxy Bandit, Steve asks, you know, I'm not actually familiar with Proxy Bandit. I've never used it. I think that's one that'll go out and find a bunch of public proxies and test them for you. Is that right, Steve? Is that what Proxy Bandit does? I'll wait for Steve. Art, there is no maximum number of threads. You can basically run it with as many threads as you want. Your only limitation is going to be your network and your machine. Windows has limits to the number of TCP connections that it'll open by default, so you might run into that that issue, and also, like I said, your bandwidth issue. And also proxy providers have limits to how many connections you can use. So the limits are not enforced by Pr0Ject Laz Rus, they're enforced by other types of things. Let's see. Simon asks, is it lots of RAM? No. Let me see here if I can open my task manager. So right now, it's using 64 megs of RAM. Where'd that go? Yeah, it's using 64 megs of RAM right now, and it's hardly even touching the CPU. So yeah, it's not intense. Yeah, you can run it on a VPS. How many expired domains am I buying per month on average? And what is the price point for these domains? Thanks, Danny. It's a good question. I am primarily doing SEO. I have clients, so I do SEO for my clients. And then I have some affiliate stuff I do SEO for as well. So typically what I will do is I will buy domains that are niche specific to the clients that I'm working with. So, for example, I picked up a chiropractor last week as a client, so I went out and scraped a bunch of chiropractic-related domains and registered some good ones. And then immediately they've got these niche-relevant domains that will link back to them. So there's tons of questions, and I will get back to those. But I actually want to explain about this because, like I said, SEO is always changing, and this is one change that is important to grasp in order to see why, like, if you're not sold on PBNs yet, and I hope you are, it's so important because, like, let me see here. What I found, and yeah, I'm trying to sort here. Oh, and you asked how much they cost. I mean, I say you can get them for as little as 99 cents for an expired domain. And that's just getting them from GoDaddy using a coupon. GoDaddy's always got different specials going. But what I was going to say about backlinks to your websites is, if you haven't heard of domain authority stacking, it's a concept by the OMG guys. That's like the way that they've named it. And essentially what we're talking about is you want to pass niche-specific trust to your money site. And the problem with like tools like GSA or XRUM is you can't really be that specific about where the backlinks are coming from. Like, you can kind of tell it what to look for. And Holly, I mean, she hammers GSA, so she knows this. But the problem with those is you're going to get links from all over the place, and Google's just going to ignore a lot of them. So what you really need is, if you had just like maybe 10 domains that were all extremely tightly targeted to your money site, in the content on those domains, in just what's like the name of the domain, the backlinks that are pointing to that domain. If that domain is about chiropractors, for example, then having that domain, even if it's not as powerful as a blog comment from some PR8 blog, it will actually pass more trust to the money site because it's in the same niche. And I've seen this like firsthand, where if you follow Majestic stats at all, you can see like Majestic trust flow for a domain. And it's really interesting. I've bought domains that have a trust flow of like 15, for example, but they're tightly targeted to the niche of my client. And I'll put content on that domain and put a link back to my client, and it actually passes more trust than that domain had itself. So like it has a trust flow of 15. If I go to my client site and see the link that's being brought to it from that other site, it'll say like trust passed was like 22. So there's actually an element of just being in the same topic is going to give it more trust. And that's why building a PBN that is so niche specific and doing that other domain and authority stacking, which is very similar, where you're building out these very niche specific high domain authority properties and then pushing other niche-specific PBNs to those high domain authority topics, that's what's going to really get your websites ranking. So, all right, I'm going to go back to some questions now because there is a ton. So Bill asks, what is the minimum stats? You know, it varies. I'm really looking at backlinks to domains that I'm buying, and I use stats as a filter. But Bill, for example, I mean, because it's a really good question. Imagine with me that, again, you're a chiropractor. You have a chiropractor money site, and if you could get one link from like the home page of the National Chiropractor Foundation, whatever it's called, like a PR8, would you rather have one link from that website or 100 links from random websites that mention the word chiropractor in it? And the simple answer is that one backlink is worth probably 1,000 basic backlinks from other websites. So if I find an expired domain that has a link from one of those super good websites and it's a clean domain, I will buy that domain before I buy the domain that just has a bunch of directory links to it, for example. Because you can find domains that have like 100 directory links to it, or you could find a domain that has 10 links to it, and they're coming from colleges, universities, and like NASA or something. And that domain with 10 links is way more valuable than the domain with 100 directory links. So I don't know if that helps your question, Bill, but basically I use stats as a filter and not as the rule for when I'm buying my domains. And Holly, jump in if you have any other advice, because I know you buy a ton of domains.
Yeah, I buy about 100 domains every couple weeks, and I use the Wayback Explorer to put the content back on, and then I build like social type links back to my PBNs to try to so I don't kill them basically with like GSA or something like that. I'll build like Web 2.0s or FCS or something like that.
To keep them fresh looking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have like some sort of a social proof, from the social networks that they're still alive and kicking and people are interested in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So Ganti, you're asking, like, are these domains immediately available to buy? And the answer is yes. They're completely expired. The instant you find it, you can go and buy it. And then once you buy the domains, how do you preserve the backlinks? I use like a WordPress. A lot of times I put WordPress on my domains, and I think Holly doesn't, and that's good because that's even better. But I use WordPress because I'm a little bit lazy for that kind of thing. And there are plugins like Backlink Saver or Link Juice Keeper, and I'll put one of those in there, and it just 301 redirects all of the broken links that point to your website back to your main homepage, and that keeps the link juice in there. Let's see. So does the expired domain being scraped? I had used similar expired domains from where? Okay, so Lisa was asking, are these really expired domains, or are they like, well, we'll find auction domains or stuff like that, or backorder domains? And no, it's 100% expired domains. I mean, if you ever find one that's leading to an auction, let me know, and 'cause that's a bug. I mean, it shouldn't be in there. And it either means that somebody literally just bought it and put it up, or, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's only going to find expired domains. Does it support .dk domains? Simon, that's a good question. I think it does. It's because it's using the Namecheap API to check it for expired domains. And Namecheap supports like all of the TLDs, like tons of them. So it supports, I think, over 100 plus TLDs. So yeah, there's a good chance that .dk is one of them. but I actually can't tell you, definitely right now that that's a yes. Frankie asks, do I have any methods for getting them re-indexed? So like when you buy an expired domain, usually they're not going to be indexed, and that's not a bad thing. Google automatically de-indexes, just meaning they stop showing that domain in their search results once a domain expires. Like their crawler will just go back to it, like every day for a week, and after a week it says, you know what, it's dead and it's not coming back, and we're not going to list it anymore. So we'll still go check it to see if it ever comes back, but it's not like it got penalized or anything. They just de-indexed it. So in order to get those domains to show up again, you just got to put some content on them, and if they haven't been manually penalized, they'll come back. And the way you can make sure that they haven't been manually penalized is just by doing some good looking at the backlinks pointing to them. Were they spammy? Were people pointing a bunch of Viagra links or porn links? And then also using archive.org, the Wayback Machine, and seeing, was this used as like a PBN most recently, like a spammy looking PBN? And if it was, then the chances are that if it was a spammy PBN, it got de-indexed, and that's why they let it expire. So a couple things to look forward to. So yeah, Namecheap API, Moz API, those are, is it hard to get? No, they're super easy to get. Moz API is totally free. The Namecheap API is, I think they require a $50 deposit at Namecheap, or for you to have 20 domains with them. And if you do, then it's free. So you don't have to pay for it. It's just they want to know that you have an intent to buy domains, essentially. So you put $50 into your Namecheap account, and then they turn on the API for you, and then it's free to use. And you spend that money on buying the domains that you find anyways. So it's like prepaying for the domains as well. How many instances? Each license can only be ran once, like one instance per license, but you can move it to any machine that you want. So you could install it on 10 machines. You just can't run it on all 10 at the same time. And do you need proxies? No, you don't need proxies to run it. Like I was saying earlier, you can, I don't use proxies for shallow crawls, but I do for deep crawls. And you can watch the replay if you need more explanation on that. And then Simon, so Namecheap doesn't support Danish domains, and that very well could be. We're also, like, I haven't publicly announced this yet, but we're working on our own Whois API, because we're going to try to do away with Namecheap. And Namecheap is actually really good, but we just think we can make it even better. So my developer and I are working on our own Whois lookup API, and we're going to, that way you just tell us what TLD you want us to support, and we add it. So that's coming. It's in the pipeline. I don't have a release date for that enhancement yet. It won't be an add-on. It'll be free.
Hey, I want to interrupt you real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Hey, Steve or Brian, does that buy link work for you guys now? I don't know why the JVZoo isn't. It is working? Okay. So I've sent like 4 different links because some of them weren't working. So I think the last link I sent you guys should be working, and make sure you use the coupon so you guys get a good price. And just to let you know, that coupon is only going to be there until Thursday at midnight. So after midnight, he's going to change it back to the original price. Sorry, Kurt. I just got a bunch of messages saying that the link didn't work, so I wanted to make sure it was working.
Yeah, that's pretty important. I hope you can get that working. So back to our crawl. It's been running for less than an hour, 207 expired domains, and this is a CSV file of those domains. It just writes it as we're doing it. So let me open this up in Excel. You can see what I'm doing. So yes, this one. Let's do it read only. I don't know if they'll let me sort on read only. Yeah, okay. So we've been running for less than an hour. We've got 207 expired domains, and it's still running. I'm just looking at the results while it continues to run. And so in here we've got, and there's some Web 2.0s too. So like you see like this huge VA of 92 and a PA of 66. That would be awesome if it was an expired domain, but it's an expired Web 2.0. So yeah, you know what, I'll just expand this. You guys can, if you see a domain that you want, just go buy it before Holly does, before she buys all the expired domains in the world. So yeah, this is what I would do is I would come in here and you can sort on any of these columns. I tend to sort by trust flow and then kind of go through here and look at the referring domains, you know, something like, I don't know, let's just see here. If I can find something. Ski Lodge Tour. I don't, DA's low. You can also filter. Let's do this. CD number filter greater than 20. And I'm going to get rid of the blog spots. Just want to show. I just want to show expired domains, not 2.0s. So here we go. I cut down all this quite a bit. So the DA 20 plus domains, there's 22 of them. And so this one here, I'm guessing this one is spammed, but this one's not. I can tell just looking at it that it's not going to be a spam domain. It's only got 3 domains pointing at it. Same here. So these are, you know, this is what I would do. I've sorted by the DA greater than 20. You got the trust flow in here, citation flow, number of backlinks, domains, IPs, subnets, edu backlinks. And remember, this is less than an hour of crawling, and this is what we found so far. So maybe there's a really good domain in here to buy. Maybe there's not. But buying expired domains, you know, usually like if I get a list of 500 expired domains from a crawl, I might buy 5 of them, you know, 5 or 10 maybe. So yeah. Let's see, what was other questions? Any limits when using the Namecheap API? Yeah, I think it's like 5 million a day, so you'll never run into the limit. I've never run into it, and neither have any of my current users of the software. So Daryl's saying he spent $47 on a domain last week from a broker, and 2 days later got it re-indexed because it had a small number of links pointing to it. Yeah, I mean that's exactly what you're going to end up with this. You just, instead of spending $47, you can spend whatever the current special deal is in those domains. Yeah, Frankie, Namecheap's customer service is good. So when you're signing up for their API, I mean, you can go with chat, and they'll get your API up and go on for you right now. You don't have to wait 24 hours like they say. So Ganti, can I really buy these domains for under $5? Yeah. So let me see here. Let's see, domain. Yeah, like here's a website someone posted. So for example, you can get a .com from GoDaddy for 99 cents using either of these coupons right now. See .net for $5.99 from Namecheap. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't list all the TLDs, but you can get domains for cheap. And because they're expired, there's no back order fee. You just buy it. I mean, it's just done deal. Let's see. Yeah, Mike, Holly will post the replay. Bonus. Holly, did you want to talk about your bonus?
Yeah, so once you guys purchase it, I put in the chat my email, and you guys email me your receipt, and I will email you. I have a seed list of about roughly 500 websites, or if you want a seed list that is just related to, say, something like fitness, You just have to email me if you want the main seed list or if you want a seed list based on a niche, and then I'll just send you it in a text file. There was another thing that I really like about your crawler that I don't think you said anything about, but the people who have bought my course is they all have the 16 million URL file, and you do have to break it up or you will crash it on your computer.
Yeah.
But I have put that file through his crawler, and I've only done probably 5 million of them. And out of that 5 million, I had over 600,000 that I could register that were expired. And, some of them are obviously spammy, but there were some really good ones in there that you could find. So you can also use it that way if you already have a URL list and instead of having a seed list. I use it for both ways.
Yeah, didn't you find like a PR6 domain in that list?
Yeah, I found a PR6 domain, like a trust flow of a 40 in that list. I was like, there's no way. And I bought it for $12.
That's awesome.
I've come up with a few of them like that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, all right, so some other questions. Scott was asking, like, how do you know what was on the domain before? Use a site called, if you go to archive.org, so then we can go and look at, like, one of these domains. And, well, that's funny. Let's try a different one. So it'll actually show what was on that domain before. So it was like this one had drug rehab stuff on it. This one might have been a PBN. That's what it was. Good chance this was a PBN. So yeah, you can go on here and you can just see, like, go back in history and see what the domain was used for. Yeah, so that domain is abused. That's a really good step to do before you buy a domain. It's just, just to see, because if it was abused, like, meaning used as a crappy PBN for, like, casino links or something like that, it's going to have a manual penalty, and you can definitely get a domain unpenalized, and it's actually really simple, but it's not easy, if that makes sense. So it's simple in the fact that if you have a domain that's manually been penalized, and it's a great domain that you would love to have in your PBN or even as a money site, all you need to do is build a good site on that domain, like a legitimately good site. So make, like, real content, not at all looking like a PBN. Just like make it a money site and make it a good one. And then you just go to your Webmaster Tools account for that domain and request a review of the manual penalty. And I've got like a 90% success rate in getting domains recovered when I do that method. And the other 10% is because I was a little lazy and I didn't do it very well. So then I can just try again and I'll get it back. Scott asked, is there an age column in the output file? No, we don't have that. I think once we use our own Whois API, then I might do that. Age is, I mean, it's another data point to look at, so I'm not going to say it's useless. But really, if the domain is only a year old and it has a backlink from harvard.edu, like a clean backlink, then I'd buy it. I don't need it to be a 10-year-old domain, so it's just another thing to look at. Let's see. So Lisa asks, are the Majestic stats based on fresh? Yeah, so they are. It's based on the fresh stats. So like what she's asking is when you go to Majestic and you type in a domain, buildbookbarn.com, it's going to show what that domain looks like. So trust flow 7, citation flow 4. This is the fresh index. You can also click historic index and it'll change. Now it's going to look at all the old links. So let's see here. This could, when I'm looking at domains, Holly, I'm not sure how you analyze them, but I love this little graph right here. I want my backlinks to look kind of like this, just not all grouped together in one little segment. I want them kind of scattered going up that line. And so, yeah, I mean, it looks like it has maybe one. It could have been spammed a little bit. Not bad. So, yeah. Let's see here. Is this guy, I mean, there's so many questions here. I'm trying to think. Holly, I mean, anything else you want to add, or I can just keep going through all these awesome questions?
Yeah, these are really good questions. Steve, the TF column is for the root domain. Like, it checks the no www, right? It just checks the root.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so on that, here's another little tip for you. Sometimes the www version is going to be better. Let's see if this one is. See, it's not. So this one's not, and other times it is. And then what you'll also find is sometimes the domain had a really popular subdomain to it. So like if you have Majestic and you're going to do research like this, then you'd go to like pages and it shows the most popular subdomains or pages for that site. So like if I went like this and looked at the subdomain trust flow, it's going to be different than the root domain trust flow. So it's even higher. It's an 11. So if I'm building out my PBN, I would probably either redirect that to the root domain, or I would build out my PBN on one of those subdomains, or on all of them, and have like 10 PBNs in one domain if it's got backlinks pointing to different subdomains. RK asks, how many domains did I buy for the chiropractor? Like, I'm not done yet. I just started with them. I've only pointed maybe 5 domains at them so far, and they're already getting up to the first page for their city. It's been just about a month that I've been working with them. Danny asks, how difficult is it to find domains related to, say, construction, like fence, concrete, remodeling? Pretty easy. It's all about the seed list. I'll put a link to that video. Let me see here. Okay. Yes. So here's my YouTube video. I'll post the link in chat. That's just how kind of high level of how I do my own seed lists. Let's see. So again, he was asking, if he buys a domain that's in a different niche and he wants to repurpose it, then does that mean the links are no longer relevant? Well, I don't know exactly how far Google tracks back, like follows the links back to determine relevancy, but I know that you can repurpose a domain and it can keep its power from domains that are pointing to it and links that are pointing to it. And so, for example, chiropractor again. Say I find a domain that was a dentist domain and not a chiropractor domain. It's still kind of related to the niche. It's medical. So I might just keep it as a more generic medical domain and then put content on there that's related to a chiropractor and link to my client that way. Or maybe it was a basketball-related domain, like it's totally unrelated to chiropractors. I could totally repurpose it, make it all about chiropractors. I wouldn't expect the results of that PBN to pass as much trust flow to my money site as one that came from the same niche. So that's kind of what makes a crawler like this so useful, is you can pretty easily go out and find these niche-specific domains. So Steve asked, can he use his own Majestic license rather than the $9 monthly? No, I'm sorry, you can't, and it's because it's not using a client like like a specific license on your client, it's going through my server, which then we do our own magic to get all that data as well. So GB says, so I use Google Webmaster. Why? That's a good question. I use it to find out if the domain's been manually penalized, or if I know it's not coming back, it's not being re-indexed, then you have to use it in order to request a manual penalty review. And I just go on Fiverr and I bought like 500 Gmail accounts or something. So I have, or maybe it's 100 Gmail accounts. I have like 100 Gmail accounts that I could use. So I just go onto one of those and add the website, the Webmaster Tools for one of those fake Gmails, and do it that way. Let's see. So Jerry's asking, I mean, like basically like SEO questions. So where can you learn all the details of doing this, like to create a site and purchase and host it and make a PBN? I'd ask Holly. That's what she's good at. I think she has some products that could help you with that.
Yeah, so I mean, Jerry, the best course that I think you would take on a PBN type thing would obviously be Derek's, or Derek Ears for Black Ops, I think, because he recreates a lot of the plugin recreates, I think, the content and everything, and he has a really good training class on it.
Cool.
Yeah, Rebuild Age Domains by Derek. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And if you're a Black Hat community member, there's also a Wayback exporter in there as well in the tools section. So something to think about. Ganti, so he says, what's a seed list? And a seed list is just a list of sites that you're going to tell the crawler to look at. So, for example, I put my seed list in the input folder. I created this one for the demo here called health, and I just went into Scrapebox, did a search for health or fitness, and got back this huge list of URLs that all had something to do with it. And I just pasted those into the seed list, or into this file, and named it, and that is my seed list. It's just saying, go to these websites and crawl these ones. So Paul, yeah, right now I have to manually hand out licenses. So Paul's asking, hey, I bought this, but why don't I have my license yet? And I'm like you, I want it right now. As soon as I get done with this webinar, I'm going to go through and start delivering all the licenses out to everyone who is, yeah, you're ready to play with it, I get it. I'll start sending the licenses out to everyone who's bought it. And there's also a Facebook group to join. So right here, looks like people are joining it. And this is where you can also talk to other users if you ever need help. And then there's also a support desk. Like if you go to the Pr0Ject Laz Rus website, which is lazaruscrawler.com, then click on help, and that'll take you to our support desk where you can create a ticket and complain. Hopefully not. Hopefully you don't find any problems, but if you do, please let us know, because I'm very active in updating the software and keeping it improving and keeping it working well. So yeah, Scott was asking about that Bill's Book Barn domain that I looked at. Would it be a good one? I mean, I probably wouldn't buy it because I don't have a use for it. Like I said, I like niche-specific domains, so that's kind of what I'm going with.
Hey, Steve, I use 50 private proxies from ByProxies, but it's the same proxies that I use for like GSA and Money Robot. I use the same proxies that I use for everything else. I don't buy separate ones for the crawler. And I don't use the proxies unless I'm going like more than 2 deep. What I do on my OVH server is I load up like, 300 seed list, and I put it at 100 threads, and then I'll put in, sometimes I'll go like 20 deep. It just depends on how anxious I am about getting domains. And then just let it run.
Yeah, Scott, so that barn domain might be good if you were doing something with books, like ebooks. If you have like an Amazon ebook you're trying to sell, then I could see that potentially being good. But I would still, I would still need to do some more research on it just to look at it, see what these backlinks are like. I mean, it's got, pretty decent domain linking to it, it looks like. So, another one.
Steve, the 2 upsells is the $9 Majestic add-on, and Kurt, I don't know how much the Web 2.0 add-on is.
It's $27, and that one's a one-time add-on, so it's not monthly.
Is it 27 month, or is it 27 one time for both monthly and lifetime?
No, so the monthly license includes all the add-ons automatically, and I think we're doing a special for the monthly. I think it's $67 a month for the monthly, so that's a pretty good deal because you get the crawler, the Web 2.0 crawler add-on, and the Majestic add-on all in one for that one. For
the monthly.
Correct.
And then the lifetime is the $9 add-on and the $27 one-time charge for the Web 2.0.
That is correct.
So I'm sure you guys are wondering. I've seen a couple questions about why there's a Web 2.0 finder. So you guys know that I sell a lot of domains like Weebles, Blogspot, Tumblrs, and I don't really want to tell you the secret because it cuts into how much I make and stuff. But so essentially what I'm doing is I'm finding expired Web 2.0s, I'm registering them, and I'm reselling them, or I'm adding them into like GSA and building power, and then I'm sending them to you guys. Or I'm using them as embeds too. So this checks, say like Fox News or something like that as your seed list. It will also look at the Web 2.0s like the Blogspots, the Tumblrs, the Weebles, and if that's able to be registered also, it'll come out in the CSV file. So you can try to register those too. So you really, if you do Web 2.0s, you're going to want the add-on because it saves you a ton of money.
Yeah, Web 2.0s are a really great way for building out a PBN for nothing because you can get, and they're just like an expired domain. They have backlinks, but they're free to register if they're available. So.
Yeah, Scott. So you need a seed list, and if you buy it in the next 4 days, then I'll send you a seed list, and then all you really need to do is just fire it up, and then go through and look at the domains. Have a threshold of what you want. Like if you want just trust flow of 20 and above, then just take everything else out in the file and just look at those.
Ganti, you asked about tutorial. I'm going to record a tutorial. This is my promise to you guys. I'll record it and post it to the members area of the Lazarus Crawler website tomorrow. So there will be a video that has a complete setup and user, step-by-step process for how to use it. And I'll have that up there tomorrow for you guys.
They keep using it, and I want to use my own seed list. Scott, Kurt, you want to drop that expired domains URL, the YouTube video in there again? Scott, watch his video on how to make a seed list. I made my seed list exactly the way that he tells you to. It's like super easy to do it. You make it with Scrapebox basically. If you don't have Scrapebox, he gives you another option that you do it by hand, and it works fine too.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much spilled the beans on how I do my my seed lists in that video. I don't do really anything else special, and so we're up to 235 expired domains so far. So I did not test out this seed list before starting the crawl, so I had no idea what kind of results I would get. I just have confidence that it'll find expired domains. So,
you know what I thought was really cool about this crawler too is that I can put in YouTube, and I can crawl domains that have been put in the description of YouTube videos, and you know, I'll put those into SEMrush and see if it is ranking for anything or it was as a history. So that was pretty cool. I tried to scrape sites like I just typed in Blogspot, but that doesn't scrape the subdomains. So what I ended up doing, you guys, I've been like slamming this to see if I could break it. So I went to Scraper Bandit and I put in Weibo.com and I put in Wikipedia, and then I put in a list of 400,000 keywords, and I got all the domain names, and then I put those into a CVS file to see if I could scrape actually Blogspot sites that also had expired domains. I mean, you can use this endlessly. You just have to kind of think of different ways to get domains, I guess.
yeah, so some of my favorite, like if I'm not using Scrapebox or Alexa or the Majestic Millions to create my seed list, I'll just go and just type in all the different colleges that I know. Like maybe, because here's the thing about a PBN. It either needs to be niche specific or, in my opinion, geo-specific. So like I'm in Oregon. I might just type in like oregon.edu, Portland State edu, whatever their domains are, and scrape those as well, like crawl those, I mean. And then I'll find links that are from local geo-specific websites that I can then use for my PBNs. So either niche-specific or geo-specific, and it's a very natural way to build out a PBN.
That's a good idea. I haven't even started doing like the EDUs because I really was just
so many expired domains with edu backlinks. It's not even funny.
Yeah, I mean there's so many domains. I mean really it would be hard to. I mean like I did the Wikipedia one and I came out with like, God, there was like thousands of them, and there was several of them that were really good. And I register ones that are, you know, Australia domains, Canada domains. If I can register, I'm going to register them.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of want to. No, I can't do that. I kind of wanted to show a couple of domains I registered just today, but I don't want them to.
I can find that. I'll find the PR6 domain that I registered. Give me a minute to go in there. Thanks, Steve, for buying it. I think you're gonna like it. That's why I called you in here, because I was like, I know that you do PBNs, and I figured this would save you some money instead of going through brokers. I mean, it does save you guys a lot of money. Let's see.
So I'm going to go back. There's some other questions I missed. One question was, is this faster, or Simon said, do I find more domains with this than versus Xenu? And it's like, that's not even they're not even in the same ballpark. Like Xenu, I could spend 24 hours doing a crawl and end up with 50 domains, expired domains, and that's after I have to manually export it and filter it and do these gymnastics just to get to those domains. With this, again, it's been an hour and a half, I think, since I started this crawl, and we've got 250 expired domains. And it took me literally 2 minutes to create the seed list. I just used ScrapeBox. So, I mean, that's my answer. I think the results are pretty clear. But it's a good question, because that's Xenu using that is the frustration of using that is what led me to explore making my own tool. So I totally get why you ask. Another question was, Danny was saying, so is this primarily what I do to rank my local customer sites? And yeah, I mean, there's a few other things that I do. There's, I mean, on-page SEO is actually really important right now. So it's like things go in waves with SEO. It used to be back in like 99, 2000. It was just like, on-page SEO, just list your keywords and description, like in the meta tags, and then spam your own web page with keywords, and then you would rank. And then it was, well, forget on-page, you just need as many backlinks as you can get, and then you would rank. And then it was like, well, you need on-page, and you need lots of backlinks, and Google keeps refining and getting better at filtering out spam, and now Google really wants to actually make a logical connection between the number of backlinks to a site and how popular a site really is, like in based with traffic and what people are talking about it. And this is the direction that Google is going. So they're going to, I think they're going to start penalizing, or not penalizing, lowering the rankings for websites that have a lot of backlinks but no traffic or no reason for a lot of backlinks. Like your local plumber shouldn't have 10,000 backlinks. It doesn't make sense. But if they have 20 backlinks from really powerful domains, it doesn't look fishy, and those domains being